All right, folks, grab your coffee and settle in, because what just happened in Terrebonne, Quebec is shaking up Canadian politics in a big way. It's not every day a quiet riding like this becomes ground zero for political drama that rivals a national scandal. And at the center of this storm, Mark Carney. That's right, the former central banker who's become the face of liberal ambition. He's not handling this well, to put it lightly. Why? Because a court decision might actually force an election recount. And it's all thanks to the Bloc Québécois. Yes, you heard that right. This story's got everything. Election mistakes, courtroom twists, and enough political tension to make a snowstorm feel warm and cozy. Let's break it down. The riding of Terrebonne, known for being politically unpredictable, just saw one of the wildest vote flips in recent memory. On April 28th, voters did their part, ballots were cast, and everything seemed to go as planned. The Liberal candidate, Tatiana Aus, was already celebrating. She likely had her social media updated and victory speech rehearsed. But then, surprise! During the official vote check, basically making sure all the math adds up, the results flipped. Suddenly, it wasn't the Liberals who won. It was the Bloc's Nathalie Sinclair-Desgagnés who came out on top. You can imagine the reaction. Somewhere in downtown Toronto, Carney probably had to put down his smoothie and check the results twice. But hold on, it gets better. A judicial recount was called for May 10th. And guess what? After everything, the Liberals won. By just one vote. Yes, one single vote decided the outcome. It's one of the closest finishes in Canadian election history, and probably the most talked about vote since the invention of the ballot box. So, while most people accept defeat and move on, this isn't your everyday better luck next time moment. The fallout is far from over, and you can bet the political fireworks are just getting started. Now, here's where things really get serious, because unlike Mark Carney's hit-or-miss predictions, the Bloc Québécois actually has a strong legal case. And why? Because Elections Canada admitted they made a big mistake. The issue? A printing error. That's right, a misprint on a special ballot envelope. One Bloc supporter followed the rules, mailed in their vote like any responsible citizen, only to have it returned like a package with the wrong address. Elections Canada may as well have slapped a sticky note on it that read, "Oops, our mistake. Better luck next time." And you can just picture Mark Carney, former Bank of Canada governor, pacing around in frustration, saying something like, "This is why we need more fiscal balance," as if that would fix a postal code typo. Let's not beat around the bush. Elections Canada had one job: run a clean, professional election. And somehow, they printed the wrong info on a ballot envelope. That one little error nearly threw the whole vote off course. Honestly, even school kids making sticker books would have caught that. So now the Bloc is taking this mess to court. And honestly, good on them. Someone has to hold the system accountable. The court's being asked to decide if this misprint is enough reason to redo the entire vote. And thankfully, they're taking the issue seriously. Meanwhile, Carney may be dreaming of high-tech ballots and complex reforms. But this is basic stuff, like making sure a mailing address is correct. Bloc candidate Nathalie Sinclair-Desgagnés isn't letting it slide either. She's out there saying every vote counts, and she's absolutely right, because this isn't about whining or political games. It's about protecting a core part of democracy, every Canadian's vote, even if that vote ended up trapped in a broken envelope thanks to government carelessness. And here's the twist that has Pierre Poilievre smiling from ear to ear. This goes beyond one riding. This is about how Elections Canada operates across the country. And it gives Poilievre, who's built his brand on accountability, a perfect chance to say, "See, this is exactly what I've been talking about." Let's not lose sight of something important here. Elections Canada is the same agency that some Liberal insiders treat like it's untouchable. To them, it's sacred, above criticism, beyond question. But this recent blunder proves it's not perfect. A Bourchi, simple envelope error has now cast doubt over the whole process. And the consequences? They're more serious than anyone expected. Meanwhile, Mark Carney, the former central banker, seems out of touch. While Canadians are dealing with ballot issues, he's focused on policy panels and climate forums. He's used to boardrooms, not doorsteps. And he doesn't seem all that interested in answering tough questions. But Pierre Poilievre, he's on the ground, asking what most Canadians are thinking. Why wasn't this caught earlier? How could an entire election be put at risk because of a printing mistake? Carney's busy promoting global goals. Poilievre's talking about accountability here at home. To him, a vote isn't just a checkbox. It's the heart of our democracy. It's not optional. It's not symbolic. And when a mistake like this happens, it matters deeply. Look at Liberal candidate Tatiana Aus. First, she wins. Then she loses. Then she wins again. And now she might have to run all over again. It's political chaos, all because of one overlooked error. And Carney? Rumors say he's frustrated, understandably, but not because voters are confused. He's more worried about the optics. He's allegedly reacting like this is a financial crisis. But this isn't about charts or economic models. It's about trust. If the courts step in, and they might, we could be looking at a whole new election. And that changes everything, because if this case succeeds, it opens the door for more recounts, more challenges, more legal reviews. Every close race could now be contested. Every small error could be a reason to go back to the polls. And that's exactly the kind of breakdown Poilievre's been warning about. While Carney was managing interest rates, Poilievre was listening to people on the ground. He's already working on fixes, proposing checks, reviews, and better systems. Because a real leader doesn't just talk, he takes action. And if a single envelope can shake a democracy, we clearly need a system built to handle more. Thankfully, the courts are stepping up, and so is Pierre Poilievre. That's what leadership looks like. Not a title, not a talking point, not a polished panel in Davos. Real leadership, on the ground, with the people, facing real issues head-on. Pierre Poilievre isn't hiding behind jargon or globalist buzzwords. He's out there, boots on, clipboard ready, sleeves rolled up. And if this election gets overturned, if the court actually steps in, slams down the gavel and says, "Nope, do it again. And this time, don't mess up the envelopes." That'll be the first real step toward fixing a system that's been coasting on autopilot for way too long. And guess who's going to be ready for it? Pierre, not Mark Carney. No, Carney's too busy calculating interest rates in his sleep, still clinging to the dream of polite, technocratic control. Carney doesn't want accountability. He wants order. A soft-spoken, globally approved, panel-certified kind of order where elections are mere ceremonies and public voices are, well, inconvenient. But Pierre believes in one vote, one person, one choice, even if that vote got trapped in a misprinted envelope and ended up somewhere between Laval and political limbo, because that one vote, it still matters. So let's raise a double-double for the Bloc Québécois, who had the guts to challenge the mess. Let's salute the court for not laughing this out of the courtroom like a bad knock-knock joke, and let's give Pierre the credit he deserves for standing up when it actually matters. While Carney? He's probably off in his office, clutching his favorite economic graph, mumbling something about macro-credential crises. We're not talking about projections, Mark. We're talking about people, about votes, about democracy. And here's the kicker. If this court case sets a precedent, then every razor-thin result across Canada suddenly gets a second look. Every oops in the system becomes a potential case. Every misprinted ballot could swing a riding, every envelope, a spark for scrutiny. And Pierre, he'll be strutting across the country like a man who just hit the jackpot on a roll up the rim, because this is exactly the kind of mess he's been warning us about. But Carney never listened. He was too busy drafting speeches for conferences, too focused on carbon credits, economic models, and imagined futures. Not the real Canadians getting shortchanged at the ballot box. Think about it. An entire democracy shaken by one misprinted envelope. That's where we are. And who's stepping in to save it? Not an unelected banker, not a bureaucratic panel, not a think tank, a court. The last line of common sense, and a politician who actually believes in fixing things, not just hosting PowerPoint presentations about them. Pierre probably already has. A draft bill mandating triple checking of every ballot with the precision of a Swiss watchmaker. Now that's how you run a country. That's leadership. That's competence. That's how democracy should work. Not built on blind faith in bureaucracies, but on accountability, transparency, and action. And if this election gets overturned, if the court says, nope, that wasn't good enough, it will send shockwaves. It'll say, you messed up, and now you fix it. And maybe, just maybe, we'll finally see the cracks in this system start to get patched. Not papered over, not excused, fixed. And Pierre Poilievre will be front and center when it happens, because he's not about pretending everything's fine. He's about making things right. Meanwhile, Carney's probably panicking over postage, trying to spin this into some macroeconomic cautionary tale, But we're done listening to the spin. We want the truth. So here's to the Bloc for demanding accountability. Here's to the courts for treating one envelope like it matters. Here's to Pierre for being the only adult in the room. And here's to the Canadians, every one of us, who believe that even one vote should count. Even if it's sealed inside a flawed envelope lost somewhere in the great Canadian bureaucracy. This isn't just about one riding anymore. It's about trust, and it's about time we earned it back. So stay tuned, because this story's not over. And in Canadian politics, even. Your mail might decide the fate of democracy,